Hi, I'm Angela, the Consumer Product Testing Manager for Arteza. I also make a lot of different artworks for the company as one of their resident artists. Today we're going to talk about some brush essentials and go over the different types of brushes we have in our essential Arteza brush set. First, let's begin with the anatomy of a brush. We have a few different ones here. Let's take a basic round. The biggest part is going to be the handle, where we're going to grasp onto the brush. Then what we're going to apply the paint onto is the bristles. And we have the tip, which is called the toe, the wider part, which is called the belly, and then we have the heel, which is the closest part to the ferrule, which is going to be the metal area that attaches the bristles to the handle, and then the crimp. So let's start with our smallest brush in our set, which is the rigger, size 0. Let me apply some paint to my paper. So our rigger is very thin. It comes to a fine point at the end. You can see that it makes lines. If we add some water, it gets a little bit more easier and smoother and fluid. This is usually used to do signatures once we finish our piece. Gets a little clumpy, you can just add more water. Also great for making very small stippling patterns. Let me grab a tissue and clean this off. We want to make sure that our brushes are always kept clean when we're done using them. So what I like to do is take off any excess paint, rinse out gently, keep wiping until it starts becoming clear. Next, we're going to go to our rounds. Have them in 2 different sizes, 1 and 4. These are similar to a rigger or a liner, but they're going to be a little bit shorter. They have a tip and they have a wider belly that kind of ends about 3/4 way into the bristles, and then it hits the ferrule. So we have 2 sizes. Let's go with the larger one first. We can see that you can also make lines with this. We can get some different textures. Now, different than our liners and riggers, because it has a wider belly, you can go from very thin to thick, depending on how much pressure you're applying. You can get some nice calligraphy, filigrees and flourishes. You can make some nice petals with this too. And then when we use our smaller one, basically the same thing. Just at a smaller scale. Okay, let's just put these in here for now. All right, next we're gonna go with our flat brush, size 6. Flat brushes are really good for covering a lot of area and blocking in different areas. Let's actually get some more paint in here so we can see how we can blend with this. You can load your brush up in different ways, do some wet on wet. You can also make some lines with this. Another great type of brush is the angled brush. It's basically the same thing as a flat, except it's cut at a chiseled angle. We have them in 2 different sizes, 10 and 5. This is also really good for blocking in colors. Also very good for getting in different squares, angle areas. Good for specialized fonts that you might be making. And also you can get some really nice lines. Same thing with the smaller angled brush. Let's wipe these off and get them in water. All right, next we have our filberts. Now, the filberts are going to have a rounded shape to them, but they are flat crimped like the flats and some of the other ones that we're going to be looking at. Two sizes here. They're both going to do the same things, just at a smaller scale. So I like using filberts when after I've blocked in my colors and I want to kind of soften the edges. They're really good for making clouds, anything that needs to have a more softer edge or a rounded shape. You can see when I make a mark here, it's a round already. It's like a little circle. Other than that, it's going to, depending on the width of it, have the same coverage as a flat, but it's gonna have that rounded edge tip. So good for circles. Dry brush, a little wispiness here. Wanted to make some little clouds. Very easily done. Okay, next we're gonna look at the cat's tongue. It has a really interesting shape. The cat's tongue I also like to use for different, when I'm making plants or different botanicals. If we stamp it, we get these cute little petals. And same thing with the round brushes. If we, go very lightly, we'll have a thin line. If we apply more pressure, it's going to change, it's going to get wider. We get some nice line variations. So yeah, we can make some thin lines. As we press down, it's going to get thinner. We have it on its side, same thing, nice and thin, and then press down wider. Now, for the next brush, we have our fan brush. A lot of people love this brush. Why? Well, a lot of versatility. We can have different textures. We can make our little Bob Ross happy pine tree branches. It is great for blending. You can load it up with different types of colors. Lots of different marks that you can make. So you want to have some red over here. And you can see we can just keep going until we get the nice type of gradient that we want. There we go. There we go. And that's our fan brush. Very popular for a reason. My favorite brush is the Filbert for the type of work that I do when I'm usually on faces. I really love the Filbert to finish up the blocking in and kind of like blend those edges so they look softer and more natural. Sometimes I'll use, if I'm doing like a lot of outlines, I'll want to use the round brushes or the riggers. It just depends on what the style is and what the piece is that I'm working on at the time. Since we have since our water is already slightly pink tinted, let's make some pink clouds. Let's get all these really pretty colors out here. Yeah, let's make some clouds and see what this nice little filbert can really do with that round edge that it has. Of course, if you're using acrylic, it's gonna act one way. With oil, it's gonna act another way. It's gonna be a little bit more stylized. It just makes these natural, just really cute little curves. And you notice there's not gonna be those harsh, super harsh lines. If we made this a little bit more dry, we keep going. See how they start becoming more wispy. At this point, we'd probably want to change out our water because you see I'm getting some of that blue color in there. But as long as it's still wet, I can blend it. And just use that nice rounded edge shape to go in and hug the curves, the cloud that's in the foreground. And there we go, some clouds. So I hope you've enjoyed your time with us. I've done these cute clouds with just one brush, so imagine what you can do with all the other ones, adding texture and nuance and more dimension. If you like what you've seen, please like, subscribe, comment below, tell us what you do with your brushes, what's your favorite brush. Let us know.